You're entering Corsi Nation.
This is Jerome Corsi. Today it's Wednesday. It's August 19th, 2025. And thanks for joining us on CorsiNation.com. You can find me on X at Corsi Jerome, the number 1. And at Substack, it's Jerome Corsi PhD.substack.com. Now, as you can see here, we're not in our normal setting here, not in my office with all the books behind me. We're at Bear Ridge Lodge up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I've got a whole group here with me. You can see here's Randy Harris. Hey, Randy, Randy owns the lodge here up, and we're going to create here a health center. Kim Ericson. Kim, say hello.
Hi, guys.
Everybody's going to be interviewed here. Dale Cummings.
Good morning.
And Jeff Sisk here. Jeff, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Well, this is the whole crew. I'm going to be interviewing them here in a second, but first I want to cover a couple of points of the news. What we're going to do here in the Blue Ridge Mountains is create a health institute where we're going to look at innovations in health that have data behind them to demonstrate success in healing. And so we're looking at all new modalities that are not just big pharmacy and are not just surgery to solve problems. Worldwide, there are treatments going on that need to be covered. And this institute is going to be able to broadcast and demonstrate to the world what these treatments are. And we're going to be able to have them across the country. We'll be able to franchise them, as it were, license them probably, and get treatments around the country that are innovations, but innovations with data behind them. And so this will be I'm going to create a Jerome R. Corsi Foundation, and health, I think, working with Robert Kennedy is going to be a major aim. So what we're going to be doing here will be presented both to Robert Kennedy. We'll ask for a meeting, and we're going to let President Trump know what our initiatives are. And we're going to interview these great people in just a couple of minutes after I cover a couple of news stories. Now, first of all, one of the major stories this week is that Donald Trump had a tweet in which he said he's going to eliminate mail-in ballots for the upcoming midterm elections. Now, this is getting a lot of news coverage. You can see the Democrats are all saying, well, if we can't have mail-in ballots, we don't have a strategy. If we can't cheat, we can't win. So basically, what are the Democrats going to do? And Donald Trump, this comes out of the work of a show, God's Five Stones. What we've done at God's Five Stones with the assistance of Peter Tickton, election databases that allow for millions of illegal voters to get records, even though they don't exist or they're illegal immigrants or one way or another, they're put into the database in stolen elections, and they get legitimate state IDs so they can be used in mail-in ballot schemes. Now, Peter Tickton is based on our work, has been working with President Trump. President Trump said there's a new executive order coming, and I believe it'll be issued in September. I've been saying that for months. When it comes, we're going to get a whole new version of elections, which is going to be proof of citizenship, going to be voter ID. We're going to have to get rid of all the State Board of Election current systems, and we're going to go to a brand new system that's honest, so we know who's voting. We know that is the voter's vote is the one that's counted. Get rid of all the machines and have no illegals voting. Now, if we do that, probably half the Democrats in Congress are going to be out of there. And that to me couldn't happen fast enough. The Democratic Party is now going to be a communistic party. It's also a traitorous party, and it aims to destroy the United States. Now, we've also added Act Blue and the political corruption. And this is the deepest, darkest political corruption I've seen in my lifetime, where the Democrats opened the border and are using money from drug trade, child sex trade, organ harvesting. It's deeply dark spiritual warfare. And when the American public realizes that the Democratic Party has funded itself by exploiting children, I don't think the Democratic Party is going to have much future in the United States. And that'll be none too soon for me. Secondly, Donald Trump had yesterday an extravaganza with all of the foreign leaders. I thought he did a magnificent job of coordinating it. Where Donald Trump is headed is that there'll be some form of guarantee, I believe, from the European nations to the extent that Ukraine is not going to be further invaded, and Putin is not going to invade Western Europe. I don't think Putin has any ambitions on either one. I think Putin wanted to secure the Russian-speaking territories of Ukraine for safety of those people, and I think he's achieved that. So Putin will probably give up some territory, secure the territory that he wants, which is the Russian-speaking provinces, including Crimea, and that he'll move on. And the Europeans, I think, are going to go along. Nobody's going to resist Donald Trump at this point. Donald Trump is settling wars. I think he's going to become known as a peacemaker. And as far as the Beatitudes go, blessed are the peacemakers, for they are the sons of God. And Donald Trump, I think, is living that ideal. Maybe for the first time in human history, we have a leader of significance whose goal is peace, not war. And this could be a threshold moment in human history as Donald Trump leads the way to envisioning a peaceful world that can embrace the Abraham Accords and say we're going to coexist with Israel as a Jewish state. This is a fundamental change that's going on in the world. And with this institute that we're going to create, we're going to change the world again by bringing to the world a new vision of health and medicine. I'm determined that we'll get this funded, and you'll be hearing much more about it in the coming weeks. Now, first, let me introduce Randy Harris. Randy, how are you?
Hey, doing great. Thank you, Doctor.
So, Randy, you created this lodge, and I think people can see it's Bear Ridge Lodge.
Yes, sir.
And you got bearridgelodge.com if people want to see it. Now, you built this place, 20 years ago?
20 years ago.
Well, what was your vision here?
We looked for years and years and years for a home in the mountains, and we probably toured tons of properties. And I always felt like the good Lord, if we ever set foot on the right property, the good Lord would give us a sign. And Dale Cummings, who you'll meet in a little bit, had the property, and he was walking it with me. And as you'll see later, you can see the trees surrounded this whole thing. Beautiful lake he built 40 years ago. And we were walking through it, and it was something like you would see in a movie or something. A tiny little hole went through the trees right to this 700-foot waterfall that you could see. And you couldn't see it anywhere else, but you just, all of a sudden, this hole opened up. And I knew it was like, a sign from the Lord that it was supposed to be on there. And so we decided that this was it for sure on there. And this was all the Cherokee Indians' lands back during the Trail of Tears when they came in and took all the land and everything like that. So we felt like this land was always blessed and had spirits on there, the Cherokees, and we've had all kind of fun experiences with them over the years. So anyway, my wife actually and my daughter designed this house. It had never been built before, and we built it. It's about 7,000 square feet, and so we built it. And most of my kids were grown. We got 3 girls and a boy, but they were all grown. So it was just Becky and I living here. So about 8 years ago, we started renting it out for short-term rentals, corporate retreats, vacation rentals, family reunions, and small weddings. And we've had over the years over 7,000 people have stayed here, but it's opened up so many doors of relationships with people that were either veterans. I was a airborne ranger in the Army back in 1970 to 76, back in the good old days, and no, that wasn't the Civil War, like somebody said. But
It's just right now the Civil War.
but so we built a lot of them. But I had just over a dozen companies during my career, and I had 2 public companies, and I served on President Bush's National Business Advisory Council for a year, But I never felt like what I was put here for I had achieved. And about 5 years ago, I talked to a lady, and she says, "Yeah, what you were put here for is going to happen." 3 to 5 years. And, it's bigger than all those companies. And all that. I said, well, what is it? She says, well, you've got the ability to see it yourself, but you got to cleanse your body. And, so I had done that. But anyway.
Well, this is going to be, we're going to make an impact worldwide.
Yes.
And we're going to have people from all over the world being able to come here, spend time, share their knowledge, and we'll be creating what we find is treatments that work and can be proven with some data to be innovations that merit consideration and use. We're going to license them all over the country. So we're also going to combine it with the Veterans First. We're with Joshua Macias, who is head of the Veterans for Trump, and we're going to create these centers around the country where the veterans people leaving the military can come to have a transition back into civilian life, which will include both spiritual healing, coming back to God, being reunited with families. It'll include physical healing. We'll be having these wellness centers that will be incubated here in the Blue Ridge Mountains, but then positioned in every one of our, as it were, American Patriot villages. By the way, Randy, you came up with that term, didn't you?
Well, that was what I created. Created American Patriots Village, and you can go online. I patented it, trademarked it. I know how to set them all up. Got a Facebook page, and you certainly can go to that and see the vision. And the vision, what I found out was when I was in the military, as Dr. Corsi's saying, is the military always had problems with PTSD and suicide. But what I found out that I didn't even realize back then was also the first responders had the same numbers that we did. And that was your law enforcement, firefighters, EMPs that would rush into a home and find, children, killed, stuff like that. And they had the same thing. So the concept was, and you can see it on the screen, was that we would come in and we would offer, not, the traditional, like Doc says, of surgeries and medications, and they'll put people on 10, 20 meds that's and so created American Patriot Village. And so we've been, I tease a lot of times, I've been waiting for Moses and Mosette to show up around here. So I've got Moses, you'll see Mosette in a minute, that are going to get this thing going on there.
Well, thanks, Randy. Let's get Kim into the discussion. So here we are. There's Mosette. Okay. So Kim, let's get you here.
Good morning, everyone.
This Kim Ericson, Ericson, and Kim has spent really about 3 or 4 decades exploring worldwide a whole range of treatments, including ancient treatments, non-Western treatments, and she's really become an expert in this. So Kim will be the executive director of the Institute, and we're just getting it set up. We're going to essentially buy this land and incorporate it. Randy's going to stay and work with us to be able to be supervisor of this place. I'm not asking anyone to leave. The people who are here were meant to be here, and they're sent by God to be part of this vision. So, Kim, why don't you give us some background of what you've been up to and what you see here that we're going to develop?
Good morning, everyone. Well, I had been looking for a retreat because our bodies are truly miraculous. They are designed to regenerate themselves, renew, restore. We know we don't even have to think of our lungs breathing and doing all of thousands of different things that they are meant to do, or our heart to beat. And yet we see that our country is sicker than ever. It's not healthcare. So many people are starting to say this is sick care in America. And as Dr. Corsi had mentioned, I travel the world and I have studied how the body functions, truly functions, and how we can get it back on track to restore into the health that we were meant to have. So I'm really excited that we found this place. Truly, it is a very special place. It's a very unique place. The water here, Randy Harris hadn't mentioned, but I was very excited about the natural spring water. As we know, there's Lourdes. There's a lot of different places in our world that that water takes a very special place in, and that's because our bodies are mostly comprised of water. So there's a lot of things that this particular land had that when Dr. Corsi came down and saw it, said, you know what, we can do this, we can make this happen, and we can really touch the lives of hundreds of millions of people with what the innovative technologies and the things that we're bringing. It's kind of like ancient wisdom, and the things that we've known for over 6,000 years is now starting to realize in our modern science that somehow the ancients knew how the body functions. But we're bringing that into an era where we're seeing really miracles happen. And so we're excited to bring that to the world, and we're excited that you're here listening to us as we got up this morning during this podcast to just say hello to everyone.
Well, we welcome the Cherokee back here, and this is sacred land. And I think we'll do healing here that will touch the world. I can see people coming here and people coming to our various centers around the country as we create them. And I believe we will have a dynamic change in the nature of health in America. We'll be visiting with Robert Kennedy shortly to introduce these concepts. We'll be introducing it to President Trump. We know President Trump is on an agenda of making America healthy again, as is Robert Kennedy, and we fully endorse that agenda. Okay, let's introduce others here. Kim, why don't you let me scoot over there? We'll kind of change places. And here we have Dale Cummings. Now, Dale, you're the first one here who found this place, and you owned the first land here. And why don't you give us some of your background? And also, no, Dale, it's amazing. Dale's a scholar. Dale has over 1,000 books, maybe more. He's been studying American history, communism. I mean, he can go on for hours on quoting people from American history, citing facts, and he's really done a tremendous job creating this space here in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And Dale, we want you to stay, and we want your library to be grown. We'll have a new place built for you that can have a home and a library connected, and we're going to expand your library. So Dale, why don't you introduce yourself and say a few words?
It is a great pleasure to be here, and I want to tell you, ever since I set foot on this ground, 1980, I always felt it had a special purpose. The beauty is spectacular, and I always said that God laid the foundations, only the trimmings were added, and that's what we're doing here. We're continuing to add the trimmings. We just moved 11,000 books yesterday, and I'm exhausted. But it's part and parcel to what Dr. Corsi has espoused here earlier. We are in a deep spiritual battle, and the only way to fight it is through the Word of God. We believe wholeheartedly in this. And so the vision that I share with these folks that surround me today is vastly important, to be able to heal the body physically. And as Dr. Corsi says, and Dr. Kim, the data is there. We've got to do something other than just go to our doctors and rely upon more meds and more surgeries. The body was meant to heal itself. But I go a little deeper than that, and I would like to be able to share through the Word of God the spiritual principles that I believe is going to lay the groundwork that will destroy what I call the Democratic Party today for the last 15 years at least, the Communist Party USA. So we're all working together on a two-front battle, the physical and the spiritual. And whatever I can do to participate in that, I would be humbled. And I'm here to be of service to God, my country, and to my friends. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, Dale, we're just delighted to have you here, and we acknowledge that you were the first to really find this land and develop it as you have. It's got 2 beautiful lakes on it, which are magnificent, and the beauty of the trees and the mountains This is truly a spiritual place. I can see why the Cherokee treasured it as hallowed ground, and we're going to do the same. It's going to be a center from which we can change the world's view of health and healing. And so we're honored to have you be the first one to have found this and to welcome us into your home.
Thank you.
Let's change places again. I want to get over here by Jeff so we can introduce Jeff. Here we go. Okay, let's move to the, this is kind of a low-tech production, but Jeff will be able to take care of that pretty soon. I was with Jeff, maybe, how many years ago was it we did our first podcast together, Jeff?
11 years.
And your name, Jeff?
Jeffrey Sisk.
And that's Sisk.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did, and you were down in Florida at that time, right?
That's correct.
Well, Jeff is really a world-class producer of videos and music. You're actually pretty, and so I want to say a few words about your background, Jeff, and what your role here is going to be to run we'll have an international broadcasting center here, world-class capabilities to do podcasts, to do videos, films. We'll have people from around the world coming here to share their knowledge and their experience. There's going to be an institute that I think will be very, very profound in terms of its impact and spirituality, dedicated to God and to the principles that God has laid out for us, which is heal thyself. And so therefore, Jeff, why don't you give us some of your background?
Well, I've had just a really fun life of being involved in big projects. If we go back to the 80s, I was a stage manager for the Atlanta Rhythm Section, if you remember them. Had a life of music, playing, singing, songwriting. And then I went on a 30 to 40-year journey with a guy named Tom Marzullo that produced the Purple Rain tour for Prince, tours for Justin Bieber, Luther Vandross. And for 35 years or so, I did all of Tom's recording studio engineering, video editing, all those things. And we did projects for AT&T. We helped unveil the Lucent Technologies name in the early 90s, things like this, big conventions, big concerts, where I built special effects for video for, crazy things that you see on stage. And then into the podcasting, like Dr. Corsi said 10 years ago, before there was podcasting, I did 1,200 hours of video broadcasting. He was one of the guests on my show.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dale, I've known for 50 years, over 50 years. We grew up going to church together in Atlanta, not too far away.
Well, in fact, your father's had an association, right?
That's right. Dale and my father and Jim Irwin, the astronaut, went up Mount Ararat in the middle of the 80s. But my dad and Dale
looking for
Noah's Ark.
Looking for Noah's Ark. Yeah. And that's how you guys first connected.
That's it. And Dale, I was up here staying with Dale, and I think there's some divine intervention here because all of a sudden Randy Harris here tells me that, he's got somebody up here that I might know because he knows I know a lot of people and he brings your name up, and the chance of you parachuting in here right next to Dale's property is 0. Okay. So as part of this institute,
well, I think we have Kim Kim is the one who found this.
Okay.
So Kim calls me up and says, well, you got to come out here to the Blue Ridge Mountains, take a look at this place.
Yeah.
I say, would you lose your mind? What do I go to the Blue Ridge Mountains for? So I did it.
Yeah.
And it took me 2 or 3 days. And I said, okay, I got it. Now I know why I'm here.
That's it.
Yeah.
And, I have Cherokee heritage. Unlike Elizabeth Warren, I really have Cherokee blood.
In other words, you're not Pocahontas.
That's it. But I grew up in North Georgia. And, this is close to where I was raised in the Roswell, Dunwoody area.
Mm-hmm.
And what my role in this is going to be is God gave me a vision over the last 2 years to build a world-class streaming network, maybe similar to what Glenn Beck has with the Blaze. But world-class studios. We're going to put all that here on this property. I think it's going to turn out to be about 75, 80 acres.
Right.
When it's all said and done. And we'll put those facilities here, and it will be the production quality of a Fox News or the Blaze or, any of those networks. I'm really excited about this. And the interesting thing about it is, you talk about Dale being a scholar. God kind of downloaded to me that I needed to get him on the air. So I called him out of the blue and I said, I'm going to go on the air myself again with this thing called the Zoo Podcast. I think you need to come on with me and get comfortable because, I'd like to see you get to your own show, and do your own thing, which Dale cares about people's souls and our Constitution. Same things I care about. As a matter of fact, this group is in total alignment. So that's the vision. That's what we're going to build. That'll be my little piece of building that here, for us to do world-class broadcasting and do documentaries and movies and all those things. So I'm excited to be here. I think there's a divine intervention.
Well, I think everybody here has a role to play and is chosen by God to be here. I don't think it's accidental or coincidental. We'll develop the property with buildings that are completely compatible with the environment. I've always liked Frank Lloyd Wright's idea that buildings need to reflect the environment, not intrude on it. So that'll be very respectful. I'm sure with Randy and with Dale's long-term association here, we'll be able to work with the local powers that be to get the permits we need and to be able to establish this in a facility that the community will be proud to have here. And I think it'll be not only you're producing podcasts and having essentially creating a new network, which you will do.
Right.
We'll also be able to interview knowledge. Kim, I think, is going to be, as executive director, able to interview many patients, doctors here worldwide. I think we can bring international knowledge and share internationally, the spirit of healing, which will touch all peoples in all places of the world. We're all human beings. We're all born under God, in God's image and likeness, and we need now to be healthy, long productive. We've got a major role to play here. And the future is going to be extremely bright. Now I want to, Kim, you want to say a few more words?
Well, thank you, Dr. Corsi. You've heard from everyone here, and I'm just really excited because we all have our gifts and we're all bringing them here to this very special place. And I just wanted to say that our bodies, when you see how they're designed to function properly, the only thing that we've been seeing is that there's been things that have intercepted the systems in our body. And I feel it was a great honor and privilege to be with and study with some of the people that I've had that opportunity with over the decades, and to need this. Our bodies are miraculous. And I am just really thrilled that Dr. Corsi has caught on to this, and that everyone here, like you said, Dr. Corsi, we have been divinely chosen to do something that's really going to make a difference in our world, and the time is now. So thank you. I wanted to thank everyone as well for this morning and for Dr. Corsi putting this together.
Well, it takes all of us to do this, and I think as we do this, and I want Randy and Dale, come on in here, Randy and Dale, for a minute. Okay, well, you can see here what the lodge looks like, and you can see how beautiful this area is. Here we are. Randy walking over to feed the animals. We got animals here, livestock, little chickens, a few goats. We got
Fresh eggs.
fresh eggs,
Real fresh.
Rabbits.
Rabbits.
Bear.
Occasional bear.
They're all friendly though. Very friendly.
Randy feeds the bears.
And so I think you get a good view of here what it's like, and another view of the outside deck. It's a beautiful place. Randy did it, and Randy did, as I said, his family designed it. He built this about 20 years ago, and it's a magnificent place. And we invite you all to be coming to see us pretty soon. There we go. We got one of the goats.
Penelope.
All right. So in wrapping up, this is Dr. Jerome Corsi. We're broadcasting here from the Bear Ridge Lodge in the Blue Ridge Mountains, right by the start of the Appalachian Trail, northern Georgia. So thank you for joining us. In the end, God always wins, and God's going to win here in Bear Ridge Lodge in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Thank you for joining us on CorsiNation.com. Everyone, in the spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:14, let's get on our knees and repent. Ask God to forgive us for letting the country get to the moral place it has gotten. But with our prayers, God will hear our prayers and heal our land. Dr. Jerome R. Corsi, thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. God bless.